Sex offender living with his mother sentenced to a DUI at a town square. Young man who passed away from a motorcycle accident gives life-giving gift to others. A villager from New York doesn't want to come back to the villages and face a DUI charge. Foreclosure sale could be the answer to the problem of a long-standing troubled home. The final tab for sinkhole repair. Deputies reportedly keeping an eye on a troubled neighborhood in the villages. This and more. Keep watching. An 82-year-old villager doesn't want to leave New York to face a charge of driving under the influence in Sumter County Court. Rodrigo Bose of the village of Hadley was driving a golf cart on January 21 when he was involved in a crash at Colony Plaza. The Quebec, Canada native was arrested on a DUI charge. He remains free on a $1,000 bond. A trial in his case was slated for Monday. However, Bose has relocated to New York to be cared for by his adult children, according to the document filed in the Sumter County Court. A statement from Bose's neurologist indicates that he would be unable to participate in the trial due to his severe memory issues. Sumter County Sheriff's deputies had been called to investigate the crash involving two golf carts at Colony Boulevard and Sembler Way, the busy intersection where Walgreens and Bob Evans are located. Bose was standing near his golf cart when deputies arrived at the scene. He did not understand basic questions such as area code for his phone number, and a deputy could smell the odor of alcohol beverage emitting from his person at a conversational distance. He performed poorly in field sobriety exercises and was unable to complete a breath sample. He refused to provide a blood sample. In addition to the DUI arrest, he was ticketed on a charge of careless driving. Judge Paul Militello has ruled that Bose must show up for a mandatory appearance on December 13th for a status conference in the case. His appearance cannot be waived by counsel. A sex offender who lives with his mother in the villages has been sentenced in connection with a drunk driving incident at a town square. Edward Charles Wardingley, 61, who lives at 1312 La Estrelita Way in the village of Santiago, pleaded no contest to a charge of driving under the influence this past month in Sumter County Court. He will lose his license for 6 months. He will be placed on probation for 1 year. He has been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. Wardingley was driving a black 2008 Honda at about 9:30 p.m. August 27th, erratically at a high rate of speed around Lake Sumter Landing Square. He had been making turns around the square before running a blinking red light at Old Mill Run and Canal Street. Wardingley had a strong odor of alcohol. He had trouble standing. He claimed he had only consumed 3 glasses of Chardonnay wine while on a date at the Old Mill Playhouse. He performed poorly in field sobriety exercises and finally told deputies, "I guess I'm going to jail." "Yes, you are." He registered .168 and .161 blood alcohol content. Wardley is already on felony probation through 2031 following his conviction in 2018 of lewd and lascivious molestation of a victim between the ages of 12 and 15. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Upon his release last year, he moved in with his mother. Thanks, Mom. Some retirement community this is turning out to be. A 20-year-old who died as the result of a motorcycle crash this past week in the villages has given new life to those who received his heart, liver, and kidney. Tyler Lewis was flown by helicopter Monday afternoon to Ocala Regional Medical Center after his motorcycle collided with a sport utility vehicle driven by 71-year-old villager on County Road 466A. He died 2 days later at the hospital, where his life was celebrated with an honor walk due to his status as an organ donor. Lewis' sister, Aubrey, announced on social media that recipients have already received his heart, liver, and kidney. There is a GoFundMe page to support the Lewis family. In addition to his sister, he is survived by his parents. Sad. The repair of the under-drain system at the Sawyer Villas will cost $825,800. The price tag for the repairs was unveiled Friday at the Community Development District 4 Board of Supervisors at Savannah Center. This could finally bring relief to the residents of Sawyer Villas, who have long complained about the drainage problems and the earlier than normal deterioration it caused to the roadways in the Villa community. The pain isn't quite over. over as the upcoming work will cause some inconvenience for Sawyer residents. I think they can deal with the little bit of inconvenience knowing things are going to get fixed properly. This is why I keep saying, you guys down there south of 44, and you're in an area that's still under control of the developer, if there's problems, you need to address it now because he'll have to pay for it. You wait till he turns the community over to you, it's going to cost all of us millions of dollars to fix something that should have been taken care of from the very beginning. Take it serious. I'm telling you. Winning bidder for the work was Sirocco Underground Incorporated. Supervisor Cliff Weiner was pleased that Sirocco will be doing the work, as the same company was tasked with repairs after a pair of major sinkholes in 2018 in the village of Calumet Groves. They did a really good job after the sinkholes. Similar underdrain problems have been experienced at the Atwood Villas in CDD 9 and the Bell Glade Villas and Callahan Villas in CDD 10. The developer has agreed to help pay for the replacement of the underground system. In Sawyer Villas, the developer contributions will be $302,800. A villager has entered a plea in an insurance fraud case involving her brother's wife. Sophie Nassif Boulos, 74, who lives in Veracruz in the village of Santiago, is facing a felony charge of fraud. She was arrested on a warrant last week and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. She has been released on a $2,000 bond. Boulos entered a plea of not guilty in the case on Wednesday in Sumter County Court in front of Judge Mary Hatcher. She has retained criminal defense attorney Daniel Barberto of Bogan, Munns & Munns for legal representation. In a court form, Boulos indicated she collects $828 per month in Social Security benefits and has $20,000 in the bank. She also has $200,000 in real estate equity and owns a 2017 Toyota Camry. She is charged with working in concert with her brother, 81-year-old Yosef El Masri, who also lives in the Villa Veracruz, to collect $22,050 from Genworth Insurance for care provided for his wife, Earlene Payton. Law enforcement officials are reportedly keeping an eye on a recent arrestee in the villages. Supervisor Mark Hayes provided an update Friday at the Community Development District 4 board meeting on the ongoing problems with Ashley Villas resident Brian Kessinger, who has had his neighbors on edge. Kessinger entered a plea of not guilty last month in Marion County to a charge of criminal mischief resulting from a bizarre incident at the Eagles Club on County Road 25 in Bellevue. In addition to the Bellevue Eagles Club incident, Kessinger was arrested at his home after setting a fire September 28th to a box containing some kind of trash. Deputies who arrived on the scene were able to put out the fire with the neighbor's garden hose. They detained Kessinger, who had a lighter. The road outside his home, which has been spray painted, has been cleaned up. We should charge him for that. Hayes, who has a background in law enforcement and serves as the CDD-4 liaison to the sheriff's office, said Kessinger is on law enforcement's radar. He had been arrested twice and has a total of 6 contacts with the sheriff's office in the past 2 months. He added that there has been contact with Kessinger's brother in Ecuador, who has agreed to sign on as Kessler's guardian. How does that happen? He's not even in this country. That could pave the way for his commitment to a Veterans Administration hospital. It is believed that Kessinger, who has a military record, suffers from mental health issues. The final tab for the repair of a sinkhole at the end of the residence driveway will cost Community Development District 4 residents a total of $165,000. The sinkhole opened up in July on Wesley Street at a home in the village of Springdale. The CDD-4 board on Friday learned that the final tab would be $165,000. That includes all the work from grouting to landscaping, according to Bruce Brown, the district manager. Supervisor Don Deacon applauded district property manager for working closely with residents during the repair work. I'm glad they got that taken care of, because that's got to be really stressful for residents in that neighborhood to drive around this thing. Roads are blocked. They have to find another way home, you know. A foreclosure could resolve long-standing problems at a home in the villages. A foreclosure sale is set for November 17th at the home of 1906 Augustine Drive in the village of Santo Domingo. The home was the subject of 2 public hearings Friday before Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors at Savannah Center. The 2 new violations were a golf cart with a flat tire in the driveway and overgrown shrubs. The home, which is in foreclosure with the utility shutoff, has been the subject of previous public hearings after complaints from neighbors. neighbors. The person known to be living at the residence was 42-year-old Timothy James Cronin Downey, who was arrested at the home in 2021 after Sumter County Sheriff's deputies received a report of concern that the Weymouth, Massachusetts native might be endangering himself. He has previous arrests for driving under the influence, drug charges, and driving while license suspended. He was ordered into drug rehabilitation in 2011, according to the Sumter County records. As of Friday, community standards indicated it is believed he is still living in the home. He won't be there much longer once they have foreclosure because the new owners will have him kicked out. Easiest way is just go in with Big Brother and just grab him by the earlobes and lead him to the front door. Letter to the editor. The representatives of the villages don't disclose a lot. You think the guidelines are strict, but once you own, you realize how laxed it is. The villages is getting overrun with younger kids. It feels like it is not a 55 and over community anymore. Feels like I am not at Disney anymore. Sad. That's sent in by Charles Croft from the village of St. Catherine. Hey everybody. Don't forget to buy those Wednesday Night Live hats in my store below. All the money goes, all the proceeds from the shirts and everything goes to the Children's Wish Fund in December. Buy now. A Lady Lake man has been sentenced to jail time after a driving under the influence arrest at Barnes & Noble in the Villages. Michael Allen Cesbanaugh, 31, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court to charges of driving under the influence, driving while license suspended, and possession of drug equipment. Well, what else is new? He was sentenced to 15 days in jail, placed on probation for 1 year, and will lose his driver's license for 5 years. He was also ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. What's the odds that he won't drive again? A check revealed Cincinnati's license has been suspended in connection with a 2021 drunk driving arrest. He struggled through field sobriety exercises. He provided breath samples that registered .000. He also provided a urine sample. A plastic straw containing a white powdery substance was found in Cesbanaugh's vehicle. The substance field tested to fentanyl. That's where these people down here and drugs, they're sticking everything up their nose. Here's an updated story here from the guy that was charged for raping a lady at Lake Sumter Landing. A sentencing date has been set for a man found guilty of raping a woman he met at Lake Sumter Landing. Michael Torres, 33, of Ocala, continues to be held at Sumter County Detention Center since he was found guilty October the 11th of a charge of sexual battery. He is scheduled for sentencing on November the 30th. Torres met the lady that was 21 years old in 2019 near a place where she was working at Lake Sumter Landing. They communicated via a dating application and then met for a meal in Marion County. They went to their home in Sumter County where they had consensual sex. A forensic medical examination woman showed she had suffered a violent physical attack. Villager William Ruth Carnati carded her first hole-in-one November 5th, just 16 days after her husband did the same. Ruth made her ace with a 7-iron on the third hole at the El Santiago Executive Golf Course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Ruth. You'll have many more to come. A villager's son has been sentenced to jail time after attempting to flee from law enforcement after a traffic stop at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. Paul Crowley Miller III, 41, who lives at 1611 Hilton Head Boulevard on the historic side of the Villages, was sentenced last week to 39 days in jail after pleading no contest to Sumter County Court to a charge of resisting arrest. He has been lodged at the Sumter County Detention Center since his arrest September 15th by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. Miller is an out-of-state fugitive and wanted to Pennsylvania. He will likely be transported back to the Keystone State. A Michigan snowbird will lose his license after a drunk driving arrest in the Villages. William Zawowski, 72, of Washington, Michigan, pleaded no contest last week in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. He will lose his driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and has been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. Zawowski was at the wheel of a gray 2018 Hyundai Elantra at 11:16 p.m., April the 30th, in the area of Buena Vista Boulevard and Bailey Trail when he was driving erratically at 55 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. Oh, Lord. What kind of hurry are you in? During a traffic stop, a deputy noticed a Munich, Germany native had bloodshot eyes and was unsteady on his feet. Kowalski struggled through field sobriety exercises and provided breath samples that registered .113 and .102 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. In addition, he was issued a traffic warning for exceeding the speed limit, 20 mile an hour over the speed limit, and he only gets a warning? A police officer's being very generous with you. Technically, that's reckless driving. Letter to the editor. Change is not always good. I've been here 20 years and seen so many changes. The developer has gotten too greedy and forgotten the premise under which the Villages was founded by Harold Schwartz. For middle-class individuals to have an affordable home, a healthy lifestyle, and a feeling of community. That's all pretty much gone. Reading the letter to the editor amplifies all that has been and all is going wrong. That's sent in by Carol Olson from the village of Glenbrook. A villager was arrested after allegedly attacking a man and banging on his car after a night of heavy drinking. Melissa Francis, 47, of the village of Sunset Point, and a male companion had already been heavily drinking while they were out on Saturday night, according to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. After they returned home, Francis ran through the front of the garage and began striking the roof of his specialty vehicle. Damage was estimated at more than $1,000. Francis ran to the door and attempted to lock out her male companion. She returned to the garage and struck him on the right side of his face with an open hand. His face was red when the deputies arrived on the scene. Francis was arrested and charged of battery and criminal damage to property. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $3,000 bond. A villager was arrested after allegedly attempting to flee Publix without paying for more than $400 worth of groceries loaded in a shopping cart. You guys will have to remind me. My memory's not like it once was, but boy, this lady looks familiar. I think we reported on her before, doing something else. Tina Marie Rosie, 58, of the village of Alhambra, went through the checkout lane shortly before noon Saturday at the Publix at La Plaza Grande and paid for an 18-pack of Bud Light beer and a bottle of Hershey's chocolate syrup. What a combination. According to the arrest report from the Lady Lake Police Department, she paid for the items with a virtual merchandise store card. She then walked back through the store and loaded numerous amounts of alcoholic beverages, raw and cooked meat, and a variety of food products into the cart. She held up the receipt as she walked out of the store in an attempt to make the employees believe all the items had been paid for. The merchandise in the cart was valued at $444. 3 Bic lighters and a piece of raspberry cake, also stolen from the store, were found in her purse. She also had a crack pipe in her car. Wow. Crack pipe, chocolate syrup, beer. Woo, we're going to party. Villager was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence after drinking beer at a country club. Terry Lee Bosher, 69, of the village of Duval, was driving a white Toyota at 6:24 p.m. Saturday when he was pulled over on Bailey Trail after reports of a reckless driving in the area, according to the arrest report. Bosher appeared to be confused, very disoriented. The Philadelphia native said he consumed 2 to 3 beers at King Garden Country Club. He said he was going through a divorce, which led him to drink more often. He could barely stand by himself without being assisted. Bosher provided breath samples that registered .186, .175 blood alcohol content. A criminal history check revealed that he had been convicted in 2008 of a DUI in Ohio. He was arrested on a DUI charge and booked at Sumter County Detention Center. He was released after posting a $1,000 bond. The Florida Department of Health is monitoring an above-average number of cases of respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in Florida communities. This common respiratory virus may cause a higher number of pediatric emergency department visits compared to the previous years. I think this is going on nationwide. Sumter County has been affected by this increase in RSV activity. The number of respiratory samples that have been tested positive for RSV in local emergency departments and urgent care centers has increased by 5.7% on September the 11th to 20.4% on October 16. RSV is an infection of the lungs and respiratory tract with symptoms similar to a cold. Mild case symptoms can include congested or runny nose, dry cough, low-grade fever, sore throat, sneezing, and a headache. Severe cases of RSV symptoms may include fever, cough, wheezing, rapid or difficulty breathing, or bluish skin color. Take care of yourself, people. It took nearly 3 years to bring the sound of music to the villages, but it was worth the wait. Producer Susan Fenberg of Smash Productions began work on the Rodgers and Hammerstein Classic here in March 2020. Then came COVID and a myriad of other problems. Finally, after auditioning over 120 people and months of rehearsals, The Sound of Music opened in a packed Savannah Center Tuesday night. It was a rousing success with stellar performances that earned standing ovations. It runs through Thursday, November the 10th. A mysterious golf cart has been moved, but remains parked at a recreation center in the villages. Judy Biabishmeyer of the village of Palo complained last month to the Amenity Authority Committee about the golf cart, which had been parked in the same spot for several weeks at the El Santiago Recreation Center. Biabishmeyer revisited the topic Wednesday morning before the AAC. She said the golf cart had been moved but remains parked at the rec center. Well, somebody's using it. They're using that as a private parking spot. It is what it is. I don't know if that's illegal to park it there. I mean, we are villagers, we are residents, that's our stuff. I don't know. But it seems to me that somehow, some way, they should be able to trace down the owner of that golf cart. And if we can't, maybe it's time. And I hate to say it, but maybe it's time that all of our golf carts need to be registered in some cheap form or fashion with identification numbers and things. So that when things like this happen, they can go up and scan it, and it tells you who the owner is and where it's at. Maybe it's time. The golf cart is private property and is parked on a public lot. See, they keep using that word public a lot. We own the property. That parking lot, I don't think is public, but they keep saying public lot. I just don't know anymore. There is no specific policy or signage that would allow for the golf cart to be towed. For now, the mystery remains as to who owns the golf cart, why it is apparently abandoned at the rec center, and why it was recently repositioned. We don't know. I just want to say, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy, and that golf cart problem can be taken care of. You know what I mean? Someone will take me serious. I know they will. I'm going to get an email about it. I promise you I will. The Amenity Authority Committee will have to enlist the support of the project-wide advisory committee, otherwise the PWAC, if it hopes to freeze amenity rates. Last month, the AAC expressed interest in freezing amenity rates for residents who are struggling with inflation and other financial pressures. I think it's a good idea. The AAC believed it could move ahead with the one-year freeze, but learned from its attorney on Wednesday that it will need to enact a freeze in partnership with PWAC. The AAC oversees amenities north of County Road 466, and the PWAC oversees amenities south of County Road 466. AAC members were surprised that they would have to be in lockstep with PWAC on the freeze. PWAC will not meet this month, so the earliest members could discuss the possible freeze would be in December. If we had our druthers, we would have done this last month, said Chairman Don Deacon. AAC is in a strong financial position than PWAC, therefore PWAC might not be so eager to sign on to the freeze. If we have a freeze up here and they are paying more down there, there's going to be a firestorm, Mott said. We all have to work together. This is all such bullshit. Okay, let's try to finish this up. The Amenity Authority Committee heard a wish list this week from residents for the tear down and rebuild of the Paradise Recreation Center on the historic site of the villages. The estimated price tag of the complete reconstruction of the recreation center, including the swimming pool, is expected to cost $19 to $20 million. About 1,300 residents from across the villages recently took part in the online survey about the types of activities they would want to see at the rebuilt recreation center. The online survey showed a strong interest in corn toss, ping pong, pitch and putt, and putt and play. However, the survey also gave residents the opportunity to list other amenities they'd like to see, and their requests covered the gamut: a walking path where their dogs are allowed, a fitness center, a fire pit, a pool big enough for water aerobics, another Edna's for North Enders to use, a spa hot tub at the pool. Good luck on that. You guys already have one down there. Now you'll have two in that community, and all of us down here have zero. A stage for small performances, a bar and grill, barbecue grills, a lazy river with floating rafts for adults only. Geez, you guys building an amusement park? A fountain, an adult pool that stays open late. Well, you got one now. I talked to a person the other day who told me that their adult pool in a historic area up there, and I'm not sure if it was Silver Lake or Orange Blossom Gardens, which one, but they said their pool stayed open till 11 o'clock at night. What do you want? A one-legged man known by the alias Ponce de Leon was arrested for the third time in 30 days after allegedly waving a knife at a deputy who tried to serve him with the paperwork at his home. Lake County Sheriff's deputy went to the home of 63-year-old Mario Artego at Harbor Hills in Lady Lake and attempted to serve paperwork for an injunction at 3 p.m. Saturday. The Lady Lake Sheriff's deputy went to the home of 63-year-old Mario Artega at Harbor Hills in Lady Lake and attempted to serve paperwork for an injunction at 3 p.m. The deputy spotted Artega in a silver Jeep in the backyard of his home at 39541 Grove Heights. The deputy also noticed a wheelchair next to the Jeep. The deputy noted in the arrest report that the native of Cuba had only one leg and the other one was amputated. He had only one leg and the other one was amputated. That's what it says. As the deputy neared the Jeep, Artega pulled a long knife from the center console and started swinging it around at the deputy. Artega screamed at the deputy to get off his property. The deputy kept his distance and called for backup while Artega was screaming racial slurs. Artega was placed in a squad car, and he continued to hurl racial slurs all the way to Lake County Jail, where he was booked without bond on charges of aggravated assault and a hate crime. Artega had been freed on bond following his October 25 arrest in a car ramming altercation that began over a dog. Artega also was arrested on October 8 after causing a disturbance at the Marriott Town Place Suites at Spanish Springs in the Villages. Artega had been arrested in a 2019 road rage incident. I don't think this guy from Cuba is fitting in very well. Well, I believe that's going to be the news for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, buy them hats, buy them t-shirts. We're getting closer and closer to the December show. All the profits, all the proceeds on my store, which is down below, all that will go to the Kids Wish Foundation in December. Start buying stuff now because I'm getting reports of what's being sold now, so that way I can keep a tally about how much money is going to go for the kids. They appreciate it, and we appreciate it. So that being said, don't let your kids in the golf cart.